This is the Shine On You Crazy Daisy podcast, and I'm your host, Trudy Simmons from the Daisy Chain Group, providing platforms and opportunities for businesswomen to be seen and heard. This platform is for the women entrepreneurs that want to hear the real stories of what it takes to be yourself and run a business with all the different hats that you might have to wear. Come and join the Shine On You Crazy Daisy membership, offering online networking, co-working, collaboration and monthly masterclasses for you to grow your knowledge. Go to thedaisychaingroup.com for more information. These are the platforms to hear and share the stories of the tenacious, the rebellious, and the resilient women that are working towards the future that they build for themselves and their families. Hello and welcome to the Shine On You Crazy Daisy podcast. I'm your host, Trudy Simmons, and today I am thrilled and excited to introduce you to Anna Pell from Thrive with the Herd. Anna, thank you so much for being a part of the book and the podcast. Please tell us about your business.
Oh, thanks, Trudy. Yeah, so I work with women alongside my horses, effectively coach women either on a one-to-one basis or in groups to really help them to shift from wherever they're currently at to wherever they want to be. And part of that might be helping them to decide where do they want to be. And it's the working with the horses that's so unique and really is a deep experience.
We'll come to that in a second.
Okay.
There was a time in your life that led you to reevaluate who you were, what mattered to you, and what gave you real joy and deep satisfaction, personally and professionally. Tell us about that time and why it was important to do this.
Yeah, so I think probably it was around my mid-30s. I started to feel really dissatisfied working in the corporate space. I was a management consultant, and so I started to look for other things that might sort of internally inspire me. And that included, I don't know, doing various workshops, trainings, women's work, crystal healing, horse training, everything, just really playing. And then I found the most wonderful course over in the States. But whilst I was out there, I was diagnosed with breast cancer in the UK. I was 39 at the time, so it was very young. And it absolutely, completely knocked me sideways. But at the same time, very quickly, within 3 days, I had a real realization that this was actually just part of the process of getting to the core of who I am and what I wanted. Wow. And that included relationships, included workplace, it included type of life, it included my mindset. And so there on started a sort of really deep dive learning into what mattered to me, who mattered to me, you know, the friends, the family, those who supported me, and also those who step in and then step out, not for any other reason other than just timing. So it was that catalyst. I was already on the path, on the learning of what could make my life more fulfilling, and how might I leave some form of legacy. I never wanted children, although I got lots of fur babies. So it was that aspect that really gave me a sense of direction, and I'm still on it.
And that's the wonder, isn't it? As always reevaluating, because I think that one of the things that we see a lot more now is that people reevaluate at a time that something happens.
Yeah.
In what you've just said, you were already thinking about that reevaluation and what makes you happy and what needs to change.
Yes.
And this happened, the breast cancer happened, made it more solid in, I can change whatever I want, and this is what's important from now on.
Absolutely. And it's been 17 years now since that original diagnosis, and obviously I'm still healthy and well, although I've got a bit of a cough. And what I really see out there is women of all ages, from 20s through to 70s, some of whom are struggling, some of whom are on a path that they're really happy and content with, and that's their phase of life, whether it's motherhood, whether it's, you know, fast, full-on career, or something anywhere in between. And I certainly see that women who, including myself, who have their own businesses, who have that mindset of, I run a small business. Actually, take the small off. I run a business. And what does that mean? And how can we support each other to really build that confidence levels? And that's what I've certainly experienced through attending some of the events that you've been running.
Why are horses so important?
Oh, I think just the breath and the sigh says it all. When I am alongside a horse or watching them, it's almost like everything makes sense. So I've really reflected in coming to chat with you today and in writing the chapter for the book. And I think for me, what it is that they offer a non-competitive, collaborative, and really together way of living. Yes, they have barneys. Yes, they argue over food, their best mate, the best shady spot. And yes, they have sadness and loss and grief and all of those things too. But they just have it, they express it, and then they go back to grazing. And so for me, I guess a really thriving horse herd, one that's able to express itself and has all of those basic survival needs in place, you know, friendship, food, water, play. What they do is they show me a way of how life could really be. So it's not about that competition piece that's so often in the workplace. And even when we're in environments where women really thrive in the workplace together, you know, it has to be that balance of the masculine and the feminine, the way of task and the way of relationship. And so I guess for me, it's the connection I feel when I'm with them. It's the fun, and they're just so darn funny. And they're also really deep feelers. You know, to have that sort of soft nuzzle on against you when they're just breathing, and they love being with you. And then the next moment it's like, oh, there's a carrot, and they're off. Yeah. So it's about sort of living in the moment and moving in dynamic ways, and never really taking it personally when something happens that is against their way of being.
That's really what an incredible conversation. Thank you. When you just said about the horses being in collaboration, what I have witnessed, what I've seen in being around horses, is when they know, like, and trust you.
Yeah.
If you take a step forward, they take a step forward. And that following instinct of staying with you and knowing how you feel and feeding from that, an incredible experience when you have that with an animal.
Absolutely. I remember when you shared it with me very briefly the first time we met after, you know, lockdown, and I described the difference between leadership and followership. And I think, again, with horses, they're, as a herd, they're very fluid. You know, if you see a flock of birds or a shoal of fish, you know, they move and they respond and they duck and dive. Not that fish do that necessarily, but it's that flow. And so when you experienced a horse following you and that desire to be with you, simply because you were you, not because of necessarily what you're wearing or your job title or how many carrots in the pocket, you know, it's that connection and that trust and that mutual respect that emerges. And then it can be gone in a moment because they get distracted, because their life is about surviving, and then they go back to that connection again. And yes, it's a wonderful experience, and it's a deep experience that's ingrained.
Oh, Anna.
Oh, Trudy.
You start your chapter with, I'm one of those women who has your back. Why is this important for you to say?
I think it's because my experience, and it's growing up as a, you know, woman in the 80s in the corporate workspace. So think of Margaret Thatcher and the shoulder pads. There was a lot of sort of, you know, masculine based power and a lot of elbowing. And often women were the worst competitors with each other for whatever reasons, probably because they were in very strong patriarchal, hierarchical systems with quite rigid structures and places. And that's about culture. But for me, if you've got another woman's back, and for me, what that means is, if they need help, you can offer it. If they need support, you're there. You offer good, healthy boundaries with each other. You know how to play and live and relax. And you can also step back and say, actually, right now, I need some time for me. I can't be there for you, if that's indeed what we're going on. So having another woman's back, I I don't think it always happens in the workspace. I've experienced it very much in the groups that I've come along that you've run and in other women's groups. So therefore, if I show that level of commitment and support to another, then I'm hoping that when I ask for it or when I need it, they will also show it back for me.
Yeah.
I mean, is that something ever you've experienced?
What, having other people's backs?
Yes, and having it's you self-supported too.
And I think that we as women, more than anything else, find it very hard to be supported back. So it's an interesting to have that first line of your chapter as I'm one of those women who has your back. That gives me strength when I hear people say that, because it is really hard to ask for help, to ask for support, to ask for somebody's time when we run our own businesses. We all know what time is. But it is one of those things that when we feel like we have each other's backs, and especially in the communities that we're in the networking that we do, it's really important to feel like we've all got each other's backs in whatever the circumstance is. So I think it's one of the most important things that you can do in your business.
Yeah, and also that ability to be vulnerable is actually a way of strength. Yes, there are times when we might need to step out of interaction or business or some other aspect because we need to nurture our own needs first. I mean, fundamentally, I do believe that women are nurturers, and we rarely give it to ourselves sufficiently enough, you know, and I'm still learning about that. And also when we have each other's back, that's the trust, that's the play, that's the ability to know that we are supported and we can support.
Yeah. If there was one lesson you've learned that you would want every entrepreneur to know, what would it be?
Do it sooner.
Right.
Do it sooner. So, I mean, I retrained in this horsework 17 years ago. And yes, probably my own personal health journey delayed me coming out into this work, but also gave me perhaps the depths and the real insights that I now have. So yes, I've actually got two. One is to do it sooner, be brave. And the other is to know that actually, even just by making one small shift, something quite significant can happen. So that one shift might be reaching out to another woman saying, I just love what you've written on Facebook, or Donna Ashworth and her poems. And we just don't know how much that supports and builds up another person. And the communities, the women's networking communities I'm in, and the ones that I stay in, are those that really do help me to know that I'm doing the right thing. Because I have multiple days where isn't it easier just to go back in and do what I know?
I know. Yes. I think we all have those days. What's your favorite business book?
Well, it just so happens I have it here, and I have got a few favorite ones because I do love my books. Called Making the Big Leap.
And who's written it?
This is by Susie with a Z Greaves. The Top 10 Guru to Change Your Life Around. And it's about 7 steps to living a brave, inspired and great life. I mean, it's, let's say 2010 I bought this. It's now 2022, so still in progress for me. But I think for me, it's about being a little ballsy, about being braver, about saying, actually, this is okay, because all those layers of learning that we've picked up that haven't necessarily been good for us. They work for a while in the corporate space, for example, or they work for a while as a mother, or they work for a while as a leader in a charity. But actually, we're redefining ourselves each time. And Susie's book, I mean, even at the back, it says, you get on the treadmill every morning and think there has to be another way. And I actually reread the back of this book for the first time in about 5 years, just before speaking with you today, Trudy. And I thought, oh my gosh, it's almost like that's who I wanted to become. And I'm just starting to be there. And I no doubt will keep at it. But it's about inspiring. And it's about saying I don't have to be stuck in a life that doesn't suit me. You know, I can create my own culture. I can create my own flexible workspaces. I can create my own connections and income streams. And all of those things.
You've just said it. We're all a life in progress, and that is a beautiful thing. And this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing your story in the chapter and for talking with me today. And I can't wait to get your story out there.
Thank you, Trudy. Me too. I'm looking forward to it as well.
Thank you for watching. If you like what you saw, please like the video and click the subscribe button for this channel for more inspiration. If you're a businesswoman looking for that community that will support you and lift you up, come and join the Shine On You Crazy Daisy membership, offering online networking, co-working, collaboration, and monthly masterclasses to grow your knowledge. Go to thedaisychaingroup.com for more information. And for even more inspiration, please go to the link under the video and get your copy of the Shine On You Crazy Daisy series of books with inspirational and motivating stories from businesswomen around the world.